on so many fronts, but we have succeeded on so many fronts. And to talk a bit more about that, we have Ms. Aarti Sathe from the BJP. Aarti, namaskar.
नमस्ते, नमस्कार, नमस्कार.
नमस्कार, नमस्कार. आपको गणेश उत्सव की बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha.
Thank you.
Ma'am, the G20 success, it was spectacular, absolutely spectacular. The manner in which India's image grew, power grew, everything else. And then along comes a gentleman called Justin Trudeau and puts a spanner in the works, or at least tries to. Do you think, now that's not really my question. My question is, there seems to be a particular lobby working over here in India as well, who seem to be siding with this Popinjay from Canada, who's the Prime Minister. Now, all I'm trying to say is, these guys seem to have their entire psyche is, even if India loses, Mr. Modi must not be praised. Aarti ji.
Yeah, definitely, the way things have panned out insofar as the issue with Canada is concerned, it's rather disappointing. It's quite disturbing that this has really happened, and there seems to be some sort of, some sort of vested interest probably which are playing insofar as this is concerned. The popularity of the Modi government, or the way India is really, the way G20 was hosted. So many deals came through, so many, in the sense the Delhi Convention or the Delhi Declaration was signed. So many landmark things really happened in the G20. So I think this has become quite, a spammer has been put in the entire growth story of India. And I don't know what is really driving Canada to take a stand which I may, for a lack of better words, say, which really propagates violence in that sense, and which will lead to some sort of disturbance within the Indian region or the the Asia Pacific region. So I don't know what forces are really at play. Whether they are being given support by certain lobbies in India is also something which I won't really put past. But the point still remains is, I think this will need to be sorted at a more diplomatic, at an international level, which we have already started doing. There are visas which are not being issued. India is taking quite a strong stand at the UN. So I think this is more a more international diplomatic level engagement which needs to take place. We need to understand if at all there are any vested interests at play. Those also will have to be kind of, be understood and be taken in the right perspective. And I think that still doesn't take away the fact that the G20 has been a huge success. But this has to be sorted out at a more diplomatic level, is my
Just one small question, Aarti Sathe, because you are also a very eminent lawyer. Now, the point is, the FATF was formed essentially to cut off terrorist funding. Now, the government of India has given ample evidence to the Canadian authorities and to others that, hey, listen, these Khalistanis in Canada are getting money, they are funneling dirty money into Canada, and perhaps some of it might just be going into your political parties. Don't you think as a lawyer this is a fit case for the FATF, to investigate Canada, that it's a terrorist haven? That's exactly what we have said. Our official statement of the Ministry of External Affairs is that Canada has now become a haven for terrorists and organized crime. Don't you think we should perhaps take that up? Aarti Sathe ji?
Well, I think if we have, a provision whereby we can really take this forward, or we can see, because now if you see in the past also, if we just sort of step back and, revisit history, there was so much evidence which we had, given actually at the time of the 26 November attacks in Bombay, and a proper dossier was prepared to show the involvement of Pakistan in it.
Yes.
And thereafter also, I don't know whether any, in that sense, of course, a lot of other stuff also thereafter happened. There were, the Pathankot things happened. There were a lot of things where even India, we ultimately did, after the Modi government came into power, we did take some concrete steps to really expose Pakistan and the link of that money to fund terrorism in India. So now whether, that can really happen with Canada is something which I think with political and international deliberation, one will have to really decide, because ultimately, Canada is not Pakistan. Canada is backed by rather big nations.
Yes.
It has got close relations also with the US. So I think this is a rather a delicate issue, uh, and it has to be handled very maturely, very delicately. If there is any evidence of any money being used to fund terrorism, then surely, well, India will provide evidence, which they have provided evidence. We are hoping that the Canadian authorities will act on it. But like I said, this issue is not something which can be solved with rhetoric. I think it will be solved more with a political maturity and political deliberation, which the Modi government will definitely do.
Yes.
Arthiji, the Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam, Mr. Modi calls it a landmark leap where democratic history of India is concerned. It's historic achievement, which Mr. Modi Saab kehte hain. But Rahul, and then you go ahead to say that woman has always benefited. चाहे वो जनधन योजना हो, more than 56% of the people accountant women. आवास योजना है, where around 70% beneficiaries are women. So BJP and Modi is highlighting the fact that we have done more than lip service, implementing things to help the woman and upliftment of empowerment of women. Now Rahul Gandhi ji का कहना है कि there is open dated check. You don't know when it's going to be implemented. उन्होंने कहा कि ये we want to see that this is not a जुमला. हम इसको जुमला बनने नहीं देंगे. And they had around 20 press conferences across the country where they said that we will not allow this to be a jumla like अच्छे दिन and 15 lakh. Now, how do you see this? The Congress accusation and Prime Minister Modi's assertion that we have taken a quantum leap where women empowerment is concerned. Aarti ji.
I think first and foremost, it's always been the Congress's approach to sort of, for lack of better words, get jealous when the Modi government actually walks the talk. I mean, they were in power for so many years. The Women's Reservation Bill was in that sense languishing. Even when their government was there, they didn't do anything about it. Now, when this government makes this historic decision and passes this bill successfully, it's almost like putting spokes in the wheel, and that's exactly what they are doing. Coming to the issue that whether we are only making it a jumla, you can just see the schemes which have been implemented, which are pro-women. In fact, Modi ji was voted to power primarily because there are a lot of women voters who came out in the 2019 elections and said that Modi ji has really given us schemes which are pro-women and women-centric. And the share of women voters has increased in the Indian polity primarily because there are women-centric schemes. For example, the first very scheme was the Ujjwala scheme, wherein, more than 9 crores, if I may get the figures wrong, but more than 9 crore houses were given LPG connection, and that was a completely women-centric scheme. Also, the Jan Dhan Yojana, wherein women were allowed to sort of open bank accounts. Then the Priyam Awas Yojana, which has been there, where housing is given to almost more than 70% women. There are various bills like the Triple Talaq bills. So many places where women have been included and women have been given a place of priority by this government, and rightly so, because today women in India constitute probably more than 50% of the voters, and if they are not given equal representation in the legislature, then I don't know how the legislature can be called an effective legislature. So the Modi government has walked the talk. Congress is doing what they do best, putting spokes in the wheel. They had a chance to pass the women's bill, which they haven't. Now today, which we have, why put spokes in the wheel? And whatever the details are required, maybe it is a process. I mean, it has been passed through. Then if a census has to be held, whatever the process is, the details which have to be carried out will be carried out. But to call it a jumla and without any evidence or without any assertion, I think is very, very incorrect and a malicious attempt on the part of the Congress.
And Aarti over here, Mr. Amit Shah was quite right when he actually explained this in the Lok Sabha. If you remember, he said there is a legal process involved, because at the end of the day, if we try to implement it right now, somebody or the other is bound to go to the court. And as a result of which, whatever we do right now, you will get a stay order. So you will have to have a caste-based census, and which will collect empirical and biometric data of people. And then after that, the delimitation commission has to be established. So the Congress has been in power for such a long time. So why do they do this? I don't understand, because there's a legal process involved. once this bill has been passed, for it to be implemented, you have to go through that process. Ma'am.
Absolutely, and most of the political parties have supported this bill. I mean, why won't they support the bill? This is a bill which is historic in so many ways. Giving representation to women. Is Congress trying to say that women should not be represented in the legislature? Is that what they're trying to say? I think that's what they're trying to say by opposing it. Just because you do not want to give credit to the Modi government, you all are actually going out of the way to oppose something which is for the benefit of the people at large, and especially women who constitute a big. In fact, so many other elections in the state also, so many of the non-BJP states also, the governments have gone out of their way to really implement and give schemes for the women only to attract the votes. But women today form a big part of your political system. They've always, in fact, formed a part. Today they are finding a voice. And are you trying to trample their voice by opposing something like this? I think that's what Congress is trying to do. Trample the voice of the women who have today found the voice in today's government.
In any event, there were just two people who actually opposed the bill in the Lok Sabha, if you remember, just two gentlemen. One, of course, is our very dear friend, most respected friend, Mr. Asaduddin Owaisi, along with Imtiaz Jalil, former journalist, also in the AIMIM, and it was passed unanimously in the Rajya Sabha. I don't think in recent memory any bill has been passed with such overwhelming support. And that's a huge achievement, by the way. That shows how Parliament process works as far as the BJP is concerned. Your managers have been fantastic in that sense. I believe, Aarti ji, you have to leave. Is that correct?
No, I just want to ask you one thing.
Just one second. So how much more time do we have? Do we have time for one more question?
Two more questions.
Or do you have we have time for a question. For one question, we definitely have time.
Last question from you.
The Congress has reignited the Manipur issue. They say the Congress, the Prime Minister is totally silent where Manipur is concerned. They are talking about Manipur. They say, why don't you have an all-party meeting? Congress is saying the Prime Minister doesn't want to have an all-party meeting. This is time that the Chief Minister of Manipur should be sacked. That is the Congress says. They said the government there is not concerned about women and children. They are not at all. The government has faced the law and order machinery is concerned. He said, look at Rahul Gandhi, he feeling the people, sitting among the coolies, understanding their problems, highlighting how unemployment is. So here we talk about Rahul Gandhi is the people's man, and Prime Minister Modi is not at all concerned about urgent situation of Manipur, Aarti ji.
No, I don't think, Prime Minister Modi is not aware of the situation. I think he has spoken out and he has expressed his anguish over the Manipur situation, and he has taken steps. In fact, Amit Shah ji has been consistently engaging with, the party there, or rather the government there, to see to it that peace is restored insofar as Manipur is concerned. So to say that today the Prime Minister has not done anything, or the Prime Minister has not spoken on the Manipur issue, is an absolute baseless allegation. We do not want to see a Manipur which is burning. In fact, from the time the BJP government has come into power, I think the focus has always been on the northeastern states. And the northeast is a part where BJP has worked very hard to see to it that the people in northeast are not affected. These ethnic violences are not something which we have also, encouraged or we have liked. And the Prime Minister has from time to time given extreme precedence to northeastern states. So to say that we are not sensitive, or the Prime Minister is not sensitive to Manipur, is, I think, extremely incorrect. The Home Minister, the Home Ministry is engaging in the warring groups, and I'm hoping that soon some sort of reasonable resolution comes out of the Manipur issue.
Right, Aarti ji, thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us. So nice of you.
Thank you.
Once again, आपको गणपति की बहुत-बहुत शुभकामनाएं. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
You know what, as far as Manipur is concerned, suddenly what happens is, Pradeep ji,
Bilkul sir.
those two teenagers, those two Mitai teenagers, they were the school children, their bodies, that footage was suddenly released. And that dates to July 8th, by the way. July 8th. So what happens is, each time there is peace in Manipur, somebody or the other, and the authorities restore the internet and something like that, and somebody or the other makes some massacre or some dead body viral, as a result of which there is violence again.
Violence again.
Even though today there was not violence per se, there was just a demonstration. Or demonstration means up tear gas, smoke bombs, all that is normal. You know that. I mean, you've been a political activist yourself, Pradeep ji. So, police का जो लाठी चार्ज होता है, बाकी सब होता है, that is not really violence, is it? जी.
The Prime Minister not intervening in these issues where state where continuous violence has been taking place.
Yes.
I remember Rajiv Gandhi was always involved in all the accords.
But so is Mr. Modi till earlier. It's only in Manipur that he just kept his yard clear. He's not doing anything at all.
So the strategy seems to be,
let it all play out.
Play it out, but how long? How long are you going to allow these things to happen?
I think as long
at
as
some point of time, you need to show that I am connected with this. This is a part of.
There is one particular theory that says that they want all those drug mafia connections, those drug routes to come out, so that they can identify all the people involved in the cultivation of drugs, cultivation of cocaine and other things in that particular area. Or is it heroin? Is it cocaine or is it heroin?
But one of the maxims that we all believe in when democracy is concerned, that the judge should not only deliver justice but seem to be delivering justice.
That seems to have failed in Manipur.
He needs to show that he is involved in this entire process.
That does not seem to be there in Manipur.
He can't delink himself and allow only Amit Shah to.
I can't see it. I can't see it in Manipur. At least the Prime Minister could have issued an appeal for peace on his Twitter handle at least, or what is called X right now. He hasn't done even that. I hope to God it happens, but it hasn't.
Or some action to show that he's reprimanded the CM or something.
Or at least change the CM. I don't know why they're sticking on to the CM. I find it very strange.
Or impose president's rule or whatever, to show that the centre is totally involved in this entire process, rather than continuing with that person.
Yes.
With the chief minister.
And the chief minister is a Mitai. So naturally all the cookies are going to be very, very suspicious of him.
So the best thing was probably have a central rule.
Yes.
And then they would be that the CM is not partisan, the party is not partisan. You got a professional who's handling the administration of that state. Something like that to show that they are involved in the process.
But they seem to have some great love for Viren Singh Saab. Viren Singh Saab seems to be a favorite of Delhi. क्योंकि ये भी कहा जाता है प्रदीप जी कि इन्होंने अपना इस्तीफ़ा ऑफर किया था. उन्होंने कहा था कि साहब मैं इस्तीफ़ा दे देता हूँ. तो अमित शाह साहब ने उनको कहा कि नहीं, आपको इस्तीफ़ा देने की इजाज़त नहीं है, आप अभी काम करिए. That's what he was told. But the Manipur problem seems to have gone on for too long.
It's too long.
It's May, June, July, August, September. Now we are in the 5th month and it's still burning. It's not gone yet. It's kind of terrible.
Mr. Modi is taking the bull wherever he is very proactive in everything that he does. Everything is very proactive. At least he seems to gearing his entire administration to work in that particular. If it is Canada, look at the way he has worked. He has given the foreign affairs minister absolute free hand to talk, and probably they have got everything in mind how things should go, and they have planned everything to perfection, and they have made the entire administration of Canada look foolish.
Yes.
The way there, and India and every country saying that these are serious matters and it has to be taken with a lot of maturity. That is what comments coming from all countries, developed, underdeveloped or developing nations. So very clear cut, Mr. Modi has projected that whatever Trudeau is doing is probably immaturish, not maturish.
And you have people, and you have the Sri Lankan foreign minister, the Bangladeshi foreign minister condemning Canada for making such accusations against India, which is amazing. So why this silence on Manipur? Why this reticence on Manipur? I don't understand. Perhaps we will get an explanation. We've been waiting for an explanation now for the last 5 months.
Now,
I hope we'll get
the country is also waiting for a response to the Kashmir terror attack. I mean, people cannot forget that because
it hasn't happened so far, which is sad.
घर में घुसने वाली बात थी, घर में घुस के मारने वाली बात है, because that is the way he's projected himself. He's projected India, he's projected his leadership as not going to take it lightly, zero tolerance to terrorism.
I think Mr. Trudeau has kind of distracted from what took place in Kashmir. So the only thing is, I hope that there will be a proper reply to what took place in Anantnag, where 3 of our officers and 2 of our jawans were killed. I hope there will be proper, how shall I put it, retaliation? Not just retaliation, there will be a proper reply.
As he says, a very proportionate reply or excessive reply to disproportionate action.
Yes.
I mean, more than proportionate, because people want it. Now, people have been, Indians, submissive, tolerant. Yeah, it was another talk about cowardice.
Another era.
Yes,
Be there
so
now.
we have become an aggressive nation now who has zero tolerance
So
to any
why
kind
do you
of
think
injustice and terror activities.
So why do you think we haven't retaliated to the Anantnag incident, to the Anantnag killing of our officers and men?
No, even if you give them a time for movement where logistics is concerned, planning the terror strike on the terror camps.
It's been over 3 weeks.
Yes, so all the time and the patience slowly seems to be going out of normal acceptance levels, and the people are waiting. Now, whatever the reasons, even if it's a small strike, it has to happen, a small strike. Pakistan on the other side of the border is expecting a strike. Now it's been too late. They thought it was going to happen before.
Maybe they're just waiting for them to put their guard down or to lower their guard and then strike, perhaps. That could be one of the reasons, maybe. Because I'll tell you what, as far as the army is concerned, the army is not going to forgive the murder of a colonel and a major and 2 of our Jawans. And the Jammu and Kashmir police is not going to forgive the killing of their deputy superintendent of police. It's going to happen. It may take some time, but it will definitely happen considering this government. Well, that's just about it as far as tonight's show is concerned. आप देखते रहें नेशन नाउ. आपने अभी तक अगर चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया तो प्लीज़ करें. प्लीज़ डू सब्सक्राइब टू द चैनल. और कल आनंद चतुर्दशी है. आप सब लोगों को बहुत बहुत मुबारक, बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं. गणपति जा रहे हैं. ये कहा जाता है कि आज और कल के बीच में आप जो गणपति से मांग लें वो मिल जाता है. तो ज़रूर लीजिए. और this is really lovely, and I think tomorrow is the Eid holiday, and day after tomorrow is actually Eidul Miladun Nabi. It is actually day after tomorrow, but the holiday is tomorrow, as far as I know. And do keep sending in your comments. आप अपने comments ज़रूर भेजते रहें. I think we have a few that we can read out today. Can we have them on, please? Shahid Kapoor and Sanjay Leela Bhansali to reunite for a film 5 years later. Did he act in a Sanjay Leela Bhansali film? Which film was that? I don't quite remember. Do you remember?
I remember.
It says fake news.
Haider. I remember Haider, which I loved Shahid Kapoor's role.
But that was Vishal Bhardwaj. That was not Sanjay Leela Bhansali.
No, I like Shahid Kapoor in that. Yes. That is the way he talked. It had everything about Kashmir.
Arshad Azmi Saab. There were many Congress leaders has given open threats and statements against Indians and Hindus. What were Rahul Gandhi's actions? Now accused for what? Sir, this is a statement which has been made on the floor of the House. Don't you know the difference? Don't you know the difference between the two? What you say in Parliament is completely different. This is Anime virus. Pappu will destroy India. That's why we should be careful to vote for nationalists, not illiterate Pappus. That's it. Well, that's just about it. And that's just about it for this show. आज के शो में सिर्फ इतना ही. प्रदीप जी और मेरी तरफ से आप सब लोगों को एक बार फिर गणपति की बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं. ईद उल मिलाद उन नबी की भी बहुत बहुत मुबारकबाद. और we'll of course be back with you very shortly as usual. Keep watching Nation Now. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to it now. That's just about it. आप सबको नमस्कार. जय हिंद, जय महाराष्ट्र, जय भवानी, जय शिवाजी. वंदे मातरम.
Vande Mataram.